Brisbane it is nearly 20 degrees. Have you got any idea about how healthy our local waterways might be? Well, the local Maroochy Water Watch group and its band of volunteers have been keeping an eye on water quality in this region for a long time, but they need your help. They're after some more volunteers, and I've invited Jackie Smythe, who is the Environmental Projects Officer for Maroochy Water Watch, to give us a bit of an idea of how the program works and what might be expected of you if you stuck up your hand to volunteer. Hello, Jackie.
Hello, Annie. How are you today?
I'm extremely well. How long has Maroochy Water Watch been running for now?
Maroochy Water Watch itself has been running for about 13 years on the coast, but it was originally formed by a number of other smaller not-for-profit organisations. So the water quality program itself has actually been running a little bit longer than that, about 15 years.
All right. And tell us what part of the coast it keeps an eye on in terms of our water quality.
We concentrate on the Maroochy catchment, so as far into the hinterland as Montville and Geelong, and then right down to the mouth of the river down at Maroochydore. So our program has about 145 sites that are monitored at the moment by over 60 families. Some of those families have been monitoring for the entire 15 years.
Wow.
So we've got some really long-term volunteers there, but we are after some new volunteers that can perhaps join us.
So what was the motivation for starting Maroochy Water Watch? Was there a particular incidents in history with water quality that fired everyone up and galvanised the community and thought, yep, we really need to be keeping an eye on what our local waterways are doing in terms of any contamination, etc.?
Yeah, no, it wasn't really that. It actually started out more as a way of getting school children involved. So the original program started with groups of schools across the coast monitoring their local waterways, and then it expanded from that. It was actually taken away from the schools and given out to local family members so we could get a greater coverage of water sites across the coast.
So tell us how it works. If you do volunteer as a family, what are you expected to actually do?
Well, we have a roster which works on a monthly basis. We have 6 water quality, Hariba water quality units, which are worth about $6,000 each, that get rotated amongst our volunteers on a monthly basis. Some of the volunteers are happy to pass the water quality analyser onto the next person in the roster if they live close by, or if not, then one of our volunteers or myself come and pick the water quality unit up and then bring it on to the next person in the roster.
So if you're a local family and you live by, a body of water, a local creek, or etc. in the Maroochy catchment, what sort of matter are you doing? How often are you taking readings from this particular unit?
Yeah, so it takes about 10 minutes to do the reading, 10 or 15 minutes. We have some families who monitor more than one site, so then obviously there's a little bit more time involved. But 10 or 15 minutes of their time. We're very conscious of safety, so we do a full risk assessment of each site before the site's approved within the program. All of our monitors we try and put through a Certificate 3 in water quality, so our water quality data has a very high level of quality assurance. That then enables us the data to be passed on to the Bureau of Meteorology to be used, so it's got really good value. So the volunteers really only takes a short period of their time once a month to get involved.
What can you tell from these monitoring units? Give us an example of what kind of readings you're taking.
Yep, so they take a number of chemical parameters, so things like pH, turbidity, salinity, temperature, dissolved oxygen, all of those things that Healthy Waterways also use in their own program. We also do ask, because we find that the volunteers actually get to know their site really well, better than any other scientist could possibly know that site by looking at it, because they live close by, they see it in different, levels of flow, and they know it better than anyone. So they also collect data about what the site's looking like, whether there's any dead fauna, whether there's a smell to the water, all of that sort of stuff is collected as well.
It's an incredible program. Have you had any really big outcomes from this constant monitoring when it comes to protecting a particular site or maybe intervening when something's not going right there?
Yeah, we've got a really good relationship with the Sunshine Coast Council. So they help fund this program as does SSU Catchments. So if we find anything that is out of the ordinary or of concern, then we can report that to the council, and then they can take on board what they need to do to improve that site.
So what have families and volunteers told you they get out of this very close relationship with nature and the environment and their local waterway?
Well, I mean, there's tremendous benefit in having members of the community collect water quality data. They become stewards for the environment. They become passionate about their patch. It's an educational process for them and their children. And the level of data collection that they are involved in often is beyond the resources and access of any government department. So it's extremely beneficial for everyone involved.
I imagine that it could well have inspired some young scientists in the community as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Maroochy Waterwatch take on a lot of workplace placement students from the university and from high schools around the area, and normally most of those get involved in this program after they've worked with us. So we've got lots of young scientists already involved in the program.
And what about within those individual, volunteer family pods? Have you heard of any cases where, children who've been involved, say for the last 15 years or whatever, have grown up with aspirations then to go on and do environmental science?
Haven't heard of that yet, but that would be an interesting question to ask of our volunteers, whether it influenced them. But I'd like to think it does.
Me too. So you need more volunteers. You've got about 60 families already, but more required.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got some volunteers who, as they're sort of progressing in their age, things are getting a little bit more difficult for them to get access to the site. So we've got a few volunteers that are slowly resigning from the program, and we really want to keep those sites monitored so we have that long-term data. So, we're after more volunteers, and it doesn't matter if they can't take on the existing sites. We're more than willing to find new sites.
All right. And 10 minutes per day? Is that
No, per month. So
they
get the kit once a month. And then it's just a matter of using the units. They're very high-tech units. They store all of the data within the unit itself. They measure the water quality in their spot. If they want to do more than one site, then that's great. If they don't, then that's fine too. And then the data comes back to us and it goes into a national database, which is then, as I mentioned, accessed by the Bureau of Meteorology and councils and SEQ catchments if they need it.
All right, so it's not really a huge outlay of time.
Definitely not, no.
For a very worthwhile cause. The information that you collect, does that form the overall report card, the Healthy Waterways report card that's issued annually?
No. Healthy Waterways measures about a dozen sites in the Maroochy River and some of it tributaries. We extend a lot further than that with our 140 sites. But we do our own version of the report card for our volunteers, which is the traffic light map. So basically, it's a map of the catchment with all of the 140 sites on it, and it presents a traffic light, so a red, orange or green light, depending on the health of that site. We do those every month for our volunteers. So our volunteers get automatic feedback within the month of how their site's going and whether it's doing better or worse than it was the previous month.
Since the program's been running over the last 15 years, what's your overall impression of how well the Maroochy catchment is doing?
The Maroochy catchment's one that fluctuates very much with the seasons. So particularly when it's raining, we're getting a lot higher turbidity levels because of the runoff. But overall, the Maroochy catchment's been fairly stable. If you look at the Healthy Waterways card over the last 10 years, we've been getting Cs, a couple of C minuses, B minus last year, and I think a C this year. So it's fairly stable. I mean, there's a lot of work that can be done, and there are a lot of organisations out there doing great work in the catchment with restoring and rehabilitating our riparian areas. But there's always more work to be done, that's for sure.
So Jackie, if there's somebody listening now and they or their family would like to get involved in the Waterwatch program, how do they get in touch with you?
They can call me in the office on 5476 4777, or they can send me an email at info@maroochycatchmentcentre.org.au.
Best of luck with getting volunteers, Jackie. It's a great program. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Annie.
Jackie Smythe, Environmental Projects Officer with Maroochy Waterwatch Incorporated. It's 9:15. If you missed those details at that email site, I've got it here. Give us a buzz on the coastline, 1300 903 222. How important is constitutional recognition for Australia's Indigenous people? A series of workshops will be held around the coast later this month. They're called Recognise, and we're going to talk about this issue next here on ABC Coast FM.